Hi everyone, welcome back to another video here, and yes, an update video once again, and you can kind of you'll be able to piece together what this kind of video is about through the title and the description. But yes, here we are, just addressing this kind of James Bond related event, and kind of just informing you really what's going to happen maybe in relation to that on the channel. Just my thoughts on this delay, and just to inform you, just to kind of let you know, I think you deserve it. Especially just to let you know if you are watching my Bond reviews, and kind of following them and kind of looking forward to the next video perhaps, and the lists, etc. And stuff, and just to kind of inform you. But all people watching the video, just to inform you on the channel. What I'm going to be doing with the channel. In relation to that, and everything surrounding that. James Bond delay, of course. But yes, in case you didn't know, James Bond, of course, the latest film, No Time to Die, is going to be delayed until November the 12th, in the UK, and a little bit later, elsewhere, of course. But yes, this is, so this is more than 7 months, of a delay, and of course, it was going to be, very early April here in the UK, but it's going to be now November the 12th, and yes, this of course was announced very recently. I saw this news, and instantly, it just clicked, of course, why this is going to happen. It's very, very obvious, and we'll get to that just in a moment. But yes, this is something that just kind of I did predict. I did kind of think, this is probably going to happen. Yes, and of course, this is due, to the coronavirus. Of course, this is very obvious. An obvious move here. Of course, I think, to be quite honest, I think all the cinemas really will close actually in the UK, and it's not just going to be Bond, in my opinion. That's just my thoughts on this. I think I can't say when this will happen, but it's quite obvious, to me, that it will happen to contain this virus, of course, to stop the spreading of this, because of course it's going to be something that could, escalate, this virus, being in a closed, location here, enclosed space, busy cinemas, watching films, combined with the kind of heat in a lot of cinemas and stuff. It just obviously it's something that I understand completely, 100%. Understand this move, and of course, yes, specifically the James Bond. I think it's a move that is at the moment, I think, more related to financial, matters. To just kind of, I think, yes, to maximise the kind of box office, but at the same time, I do think this is going to happen really across the UK. Just in general, I think the cinemas will close. To be quite honest, that's just my opinion on that. Of course, it has happened in China as well, and I think, to be honest, with the looking at the numbers, currently, which is over 100, it will rise, of course. I think it's safe to say that the UK cinemas, I think, will eventually close. I can't say when that will happen. That's just my kind of speculation there. But I completely understand that. I think to kind of contain this, to stop the spreading further. I think that is obviously part of the plan. It's just part of this whole process. November, of course, is a long time away now. I think hopefully this will be cleared up by then and stuff. But yes, I can understand completely. This is not a kind of attacking video. This is not kind of criticizing this move. It's a very, very understandable kind of idea to kind of close cinemas or delay films. To be quite honest, I wouldn't feel kind of too great, kind of going to the cinema, at the moment in the UK. It doesn't affect me as much in this sense, because I don't really go to the cinema too much anymore, these days. In the last 2 years mainly, less and less time I go to the cinema. I think Bond was one of the only films really in the first half of the year really that I wanted to desperately see. I wanted to see this regardless of my hype. But yes, I think to kind of reiterate, I think yes, it's an understandable move. I think of course it is related to financial matters as well. At the moment, in relation to Bond, but this whole kind of thing with this virus in relation to cinema, I think we'll probably see some some changes here, and I think really the cinemas in general probably will close across the UK actually, and yes, what that means for the channel, in regards to this delay, I think obviously it changes the kind of the pace. I'll be going through these Bond films again. I plan to kind of watch them all roughly, before the release, No Time to Die, and that's going to be, of course, beginning of April, and of course that will be November now. So it's very hard to kind of say exactly, how frequently I'll be doing these reviews. But I think every week, every 2 weeks, no more than that. So I think that's a kind of a decent kind of gap in between the films to kind of review them at least. And I think yes, every 2 weeks, or some of the films, of course, every Friday, perhaps a Bond Friday. Definitely open to that. Just to go through this film slowly and to kind of pace myself in that sense before the release, the current release now, Bond. And of course, yes, it's something that I'm fine to do. Of course, it does affect my list as well. I was going to be doing a Bond ranking video to include as well, No Time to Die, but I can't, of course, do that until now, at least November, and that's going to be difficult, of course. But again, villains, Bond villains ranked. I was going to be doing that actually. I say that now, but I can't do that until November. So just letting you know there, and of course, I could do some of the Bond-related lists, especially Bond themes ranked. That's something that I can do. Absolutely, something that I can probably do that, in a few months perhaps, and because I have of course heard all the Bond themes now, including of course the latest one. I don't need to, watch the film to kind of see what that is, my ranking. I've heard that quite a few times, of course, and yes, that could be something that I could do, and other Bond-related lists. Of course, spacing these reviews out, and of course, absolutely. Now I will be watching Never Say Never Again. I'll say that, and I'll definitely give that a review, and of course, possibly, Casino Royale, the original spoof, of course, 1967. I could review that. I'm definitely going to be watching that, and so yeah, there's definitely going to be some Bond-related content that isn't reviews. In between this time, between now and the release. Of course, I will have my reviews as well coming up. Of course, I've got quite a few left, so it's not like I've kind of got ahead of myself and reviewed all these films and then I have to wait all these months. I think it's definitely going to be spaced out more. I did say, of course, the other day that I'd be picking up the pace, but now it's going to be slowing down, of course, but that's fine. Of course, and it's just the way I'm going to do this. So yes, I'm just going to let you know, of course, there will be a much more gradual kind of process with the re-reviews, of course, and the lists. In relation to that, some of the lists, as I say, will have to be, towards the end of the year, of course. 7 months is a very, very long time, really, and I didn't expect that, in terms of the Bond film, kind of release, the delay here, I would have a few months, but maybe 7 is something that I didn't predict, but that's just the way it is, and of course it's for a reason, and as I say, in relation to this kind of virus here and all the cinemas really in the UK, I think we could, just my take on it really, we'll definitely see some more changes, if not, kind of the whole of the UK really just being affected. In terms of cinemas, that's just my take on it. I could be wrong, of course. It depends on the numbers, of cases, but I do think that will happen. But yeah, I think we'll wrap up. This is just a video here to kind of inform you, and yes, not to be negative at all, just to inform you, of course, and state the obvious, about this virus here, and this whole kind of this whole virus here is going to affect cinemas, of course. I expected that, and of course, Bond being delayed is just one of the kind of the many changes, of course, being put into place. It's going to happen, of course, and yes, just of course saying how it will affect my channel, the lists and the reviews will be more kind of a gradual process, and that's fine, of course. That's something that gives me more time to kind of get more lengthy and thorough reviews, of course, and to compile my lists more accurately, perhaps. So that's fine to kind of space it apart. But yes, that's just to let you know that, and yes, to be positive about this, of course, and that it's not. I'm not attacking this decision, of course. Again, it's not just related to this. It's obviously financial, concerns, of course, maybe more than anything, but that's not for me to get into, and it's not a channel, of course, that talks about politics at all, so I'm not going to get into that. But yeah, just a positive video, and just to say to you what's going to be happening there, and of course, just a kind of all the best to everyone around the world, of course, just in this time, and just to be positive. I'm concerned, of course, but I'm not panicking. That's a kind of something that I'm not doing. It's not going to change what I'm doing to kind of the precautions, of course. That's not going to change that. It's just going to make things worse. In terms of how you're processing this in your mind. So yeah, not to panic. That's the main thing. Just to be, of course, concerned. And to be precarious, of course, and this whole event, of course, with Bond being delayed, and just in general, I think it's just one of these precautions. We don't want this to spread further, and anything we can do to kind of stop this, or to kind of reduce this, of course, that's definitely something that I'm fully behind, and it's something that will hopefully be dealt with, as best in the best way possible. And yes, all the best to all you viewers and everyone around the world, of course. And yes, yes, just a little, of course, a little quick updated video there for you. So yes, expect more Bond reviews soon, and because these next couple in the series, On Her Majesty's Secret Service and Diamonds Are Forever, I rewatched very recently. So these will be the exceptions, in this kind of these reviews, and they'll come probably the next week. Both of them really in the next week, within this time, I hope anyway. And yes, the rest will be every week, every 2 weeks really, in between each film, within this series. And yes, it's just going to be more of a kind of gradual process to summarise. Something that yes, a few lists will not come until at least November, December time really. But some other ones will come, and before that time, and of course I'll be doing reviews just more spaced out, in this sense. I may not be doing as much Bond reviews, but it'll be just as much kind of reviews in that sense, just in general. So yes, just to let you know very briefly on that, and my take on it. The take on this kind of delay is I don't really. I'm kind of I'm not criticizing this necessarily. I'm definitely very in a positive mindset, and very hopeful. Just in general for this, and let's all just stay positive, not to panic. To be concerned and be careful. Definitely. And this is one of the things, as I say, this kind of this delaying of films, and potentially closing cinemas. Of course, it has happened. Different parts of the world already. China, for example. So definitely. It makes sense. Of course. As I say, I wouldn't have really felt, too safe. I must admit, going to the cinema. During this kind of event. Anyway. So I think. Closing of cinemas is definitely, it makes sense. We must say that. But yes, just a positive video, and to be hopeful, to stay kind of precarious, but not to panic. That's just my opinion. That's my take on it. But all the best to all you viewers, of course. And yes, let's just stay hopeful, and yes, just deal with it, in the best way possible, of course. And just to kind of wrap up there. leave your thoughts, of course, in the comments on this kind of event here. James Bond being delayed, but yes, it will just very mildly affect this channel. That's what I wanted to kind of get across, and just to kind of update you, what's going to happen. I think you deserve that, of course. And that's it from me. Expect more more reviews very very soon. And yes, as always, thanks for watching.